Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Weed Aid Review. It is going to be short and sweet because I just got home from work 20 minutes ago and I'm just not that clever, as y'all all know. Some stuff off the bat. The West, every single team lost. For some teams, that's not too surprising, but we'll get into that. But so y'all are not looking too hot currently. We go to the East, every single team won. That's pretty nice. Good job, all of y'all, just on that look. Currently, we have 7 5-3 teams. A little surprising. It's pretty competitive league. A lot of people are still in it. But let's get on to the scoreboard of the previous week. Okay, week 8. So we'll start off with my game versus the Israeli Sympathizer. I gotta say that's a little bit better of a name, even though your handle is Jews, not my favorite, but whatever. You're on a 6 loss streak, Watson. For probably the person with the biggest mouth, you've never produced anything in this league. But, the bigger the bark, the weaker the bite. Some saying like that, something like that. Cole, I believe last week you said my receivers were a cry for help. Well, I guess that cry was heard. They did pretty all right this week. Gotta say, Nuke was looking like his old self. Happy with that. Kamara did good. Kittle did good. So I'm pretty happy with my team right now. I just hope they all stay healthy. Eckler, he did well. Moving on to It Hurts When I Pee. Tanner, It Hurts When I Pee versus Sky's the Limit. Tanner, you always seem to have good teams in the league. Your team didn't perform too well this week. Hurts did good. No one did terrible in your box score, but just couldn't get it done. I'm a little surprised you're 5-3, but not because your team's bad, just because I would expect you to be doing better, especially losing to Mike, who is now 3-5, was 2-5. You had a really good week, Mike. You always seem to know what you're talking about, but you never do good in fantasy. I don't think you ever make it far to the playoffs, but we'll see if this year's any different. Doesn't look like it's going to be. Will and Burrow in the Bass. Who is that? Burkhart, I gotta say, I'm surprised you're 5-3. Y'all's game was pitiful. You squeaked out a win against Will, whose team is also pretty pitiful. Box score. It is now 8 o'clock, as you can hear from the from the clock. Box score. My computer was lagging. All right. So let me look here. Will, you tell me you'll trade for Kamara. I don't see anyone that I won't. You always have the worst trade options. I think Cole talked on that last week when he was boasting about himself being the brains in y'all's organization, which seems to have been true. Burke, your team's pretty shit. DJ Moore's okay, I guess. Derrick Henry's good, but I'm surprised you're 5-3. I was surprised Tanner was not better than 5-3. I'm surprised you're as good as 5-3. Here's the real surprise of the league is MVB being 5-3. I think no one expected that. I think everyone expected him to auto draft, which did not occur. But MVB, you've been looking good this year. You got 106 points this week, which isn't terrible. Better than the previous game of Will versus Burke, which neither team broke 100. Sue, you had a really good week, 143. It's impressive. But you're 4-4, which is below the league average. And that's how you always perform in the league, so right on par. I'm sure you'll be back to 100 or less next week. Silence of the Lamb and the Wrong Smith. Cole, your team is good as usual. You put up a lot of points, obviously not enough to get the week high. Duncan, you're 2-6, no surprise there. At least Watson is worse than you this year, so you might not have to eat a bunch of Wendy's and run. Let's look here. Wrong Smith. Yeah, your team's good. Smithson. I like everything I see. Cole, I don't know who any of these people are. It's already been touched on that you had way too many Raiders and backup fucking running backs starting. Now you got Miles Sanders, who, Ramon Stevenson, Yeah, I don't know what you're doing, but keep it up. I'm sure I'll have to play you again this year if I haven't already, and I want an easy dub. So stick with what you're doing. Gritty for a titty. And Saquon Ly Johnson. Brett, while you do generally have the cleverest of names, let me sure that is Brett. Yep. You do normally have the funniest names. And you do go far, you know. The year you traded me, Chubb, for Holiday, you gave me the win, but you did make it to the finals, which I beat you in. And the year before, I think you choked second round of the playoffs. So you normally do good. You're 5-3, as is Chris. So this was a matchup of two people at the league average. And I don't know what to say. I mean, good week, Brett. Chris, your week reminds me of when I played you a couple weeks ago, even though I only scored like 50. You got 72. Bad weeks happen to good teams. I think y'all both have pretty good teams. And I'm sure I'll have a good match against y'all pretty soon. But everyone have a good night. And Chris, send me my $20. That's the only reason I made this video.